Okay. So good morning, all of you. In our last lecture, we have seen various psychrometric processes. In that, we have seen what is meant by latent heating, that is called as the humidification. Then what is meant by latent cooling, that is also called as the dehumidification, and how to represent those latent heating and latent cooling processes on the psychrometric chart. After that, we have seen what is meant by heating and humidification process, how we can occur that heating and humidification process, how we can represent that heating and humidification process on the psychrometric chart, and after that, what is the effect of that heating and humidification process on the various thermodynamic properties of the moisture. After that, we have seen what is meant by cooling and dehumidification process, and similar to heating and humidification process, we have seen all the parameters related to cooling and dehumidification process. Now, I have told you that heating and humidification and cooling and dehumidification processes, both the processes are natural processes. So those processes can occur automatically. That means by heating the air, we can have the heating and humidification, or by cooling the air, we can have the cooling and dehumidification. But whatever remaining, or whatever last two processes are remaining, those are nothing but cooling with adiabatic humidification. This is also called as the evaporative cooling process, and second one is heating and dehumidification, that is called as the chemical dehumidification process. Both the processes are unnatural processes. That means to carry out these processes, we require to maintain the controlled environment. So by maintaining the controlled environment, we can achieve these remaining two processes. So we'll see these two processes. Out of that, first process is nothing but cooling with adiabatic humidification. So as I have told you that this processes occur only in controlled environment. So to carry out this process, we require to maintain the temperature of the temperature inside the insulated chamber. So whenever we are going to pass the air to the insulated chamber, then whatever water we are going to spray inside that insulated chamber, we have to maintain the dew point we have to maintain the various temperature of that spray of water. So we have to maintain that temperature in such a way that the spray of water should have the temperature higher than the dew point temperature of the entering air, or but lower than the dry bulb temperature of the entering air. That means it should be equal to the wet bulb temperature of the entering air. That means this process is only possible. That means if I'm going to consider this as an insulated chamber, and through this insulated chamber, if I'm going to supply, or if I'm going to pass the outside air on which we have to do the processing. So if TD1 is the dry bulb temperature, then small w1 is the specific humidity of that outside air. Then here, to achieve that cooling with adiabatic humidification process, we require to supply the spray of water. Inside this air. So we are going to spray the water inside that insulated chamber. So whatever this spray of water, or whatever spray we are going to supply inside that air, so we have to maintain the temperature of that spray. So we have to maintain the temperature of that spray in such a way that dew point temperature of that spray of water should be higher than entering air, and the dryball temperature of this spray of water, dryball temperature of this spray of water should be lower than the entering air. That means here whatever wet bulb temperature will be there. So if I'm going to maintain, if I'm going to maintain the spray of water which will have the wet bulb temperature equal to wet bulb temperature of entering air, which will have the wet bulb temperature equal to wet bulb temperature of entering air, then this cooling with adiabatic humidification process will occur. Then this cooling with adiabatic process, cooling with adiabatic humidification process will occur. So we have to always keep in mind that cooling with adiabatic humidification process will only occur if we are going to maintain the spray of water which is having the temperature equal to wet bulb temperature of entering air. So for multiple choice question, this may be asked. Or in another language, wet bulb temperature means here the dew point temperature of this air, dew point temperature of this spray of water should be higher than the dew point temperature of entering air, and dry bulb temperature of this spray of water should be lower than the dry bulb temperature of the entering air. So these points you have to keep in mind. That means here whatever this cooling with adiabatic humidification process will occur, that will occur at a constant wet bulb temperature or at a constant enthalpy. So in this case, whatever condition of adiabatic saturation will be reached, the temperature of spray of water will be reached the thermodynamic wet bulb temperature of the entering air. So here whatever the representation of that cooling and adiabatic humidification process will be there, that representation of cooling and adiabatic process will be likewise. That means here if I'm going to consider, this as my point number one, this as my point number one. Point number one means whatever outside air will be there which we are supplying to the insulated chamber. So this is the outside air which we are supplying to the insulated chamber. So suppose this is the insulated chamber. So whatever outside air will be there, that outside air will have the dry bulb temperature and specific humidity. Suppose dry bulb temperature as a TD1 and specific humidity as a small w1. So this is the point number one. Now inside this inside this air, I am supplying the stream of water or spray of water. Inside this air, outside air, I am supplying the spray of water, and here I have maintained that spray of water which is having the wet bulb temperature, equal to the wet bulb temperature of entering air. So here, if I am going to consider this as my point number one, so wet bulb temperature of this point number one, will have this value. So this is the wet bulb temperature line. This is the wet bulb temperature line, and as I have maintained spray of water, is equal to, or temperature of spray of water, wet bulb temperature of spray of water is equal to wet bulb temperature of entering air. That's why here whatever process 1 to 2 will occur, that 1 to 2 process will occur only at a constant wet bulb temperature. So here after having this process, whatever point number 2 will be there, that point number 2 will have the dry bulb temperature as a TD2, specific humidity as a small w2, and because of this because of supplying this water which is having the wet bulb temperature equal to wet bulb temperature of entering air, here cooling as well as humidification process will occur. And my point process 1 to 2 will be likewise. This process will be called as a cooling with adiabatic humidification process. So that cooling with adiabatic humidification process is also called as the evaporative cooling process. So evaporative cooling process, you might have observed that evaporative cooling process at the outside of sugar factory. outside ला त्या ठिकाणी water spray केलं जातं. Or in case of cold storage plant or ice manufacturing industry also, there also you can observe that cooling with adiabatic humidification process. Okay, now here because of this cooling with adiabatic process, the dry bulb temperature of dry bulb temperature of the air will goes on decreasing, as this is my inlet point, this is my outlet point. That's why Here in this case, dry bulb temperature will goes on decreasing. Dew point temperature. So dew point temperature corresponding to point number 1 will be this point. Dew point temperature corresponding to point number 2 will be this point. So dew point temperature of the air will goes on increasing. What about wet bulb temperature? So during this process, wet bulb temperature of the air will remain same, because 1 and 2 point will have the same wet bulb temperature. Again, enthalpy of point number 1 and point number 2 will be again same. That means enthalpy will also remain same. Then what about specific humidity? Specific humidity corresponding to point number 1 is this. Specific humidity corresponding to point number 2 is this. So specific humidity will goes on increasing. Then relative humidity. What about relative humidity? So relative humidity corresponding to point number 1 will be likewise, and relative humidity corresponding to point number 2 will be likewise. So here relative humidity will go on increasing, and specific volume. Specific volume means here corresponding to point number 1, this will be the line which will have the specific volume. This will be the line which will have the specific volume. So this is the specific volume corresponding to inlet point, and this is the specific volume corresponding to outlet point. So here in this case, specific volume will goes on decreasing. So this is the effect. This is the effect of cooling with adiabatic humidification process. This is the effect of cooling with adiabatic humidification process on the various parameters of the moisture, or on the various thermodynamic parameters of the moisture. Are you getting? So this is the process called as a cooling with adiabatic humidification process. Now last process, that is called as a heating and dehumidification process. This is called as a heating and dehumidification process. This process is also called as a chemical dehumidification process. This process is also called as a chemical dehumidification process, and this process is mainly required for various industrial processes, or for in the various industries. We require this heating and dehumidification process. So at the same time, we have to heat the air. At the same time, we have to heat the air, and we have to remove the moisture content also. We have to remove the moisture content, as well as we have to heat the air. So how to occur this process? So for occurrence of this process, suppose we are having the insulated chamber. So we are going to supply the air to that insulated chamber. Suppose this is the air which we are supplying to this insulated chamber, or to the air handling unit. So that air will have the dry bulb temperature, suppose TD1, and specific humidity as a small w1. Specific humidity as a small w1. Now here I am going to supply this air. Here I am going to supply this air over the chemicals. Over the chemicals. That's why this process is called as a chemical dehumidification process. So I am going to supply this air over the chemicals which are having the affination towards the moisture content. Which are having the affination towards the moisture content. So silica gel. Silica gel is one of the chemical which is having the affinity towards the moisture content. That means it will automatically absorb the moisture contents which are available inside the air. So suppose here I have kept the silica gel. For better understanding of this moisture content, moisture absorbent, whenever you are purchasing the new mobile, through the online website, so whenever that packet of mobile will come, so whenever you will open that packet outside cover, so inside that packet you will observe that there is one small bag, and in that small crystal particles are there. So those crystal particles are nothing but the silica gel. So why those crystal particles are kept inside that mobile packing? Because if whatever air is available inside that packing, so whatever moisture contents are there, so whatever silica gels will be there, those silica gel will absorb the moisture particle, and because of absorption of moisture particle, that air will not have the impact on that mobile. That's why that silica gels will be kept inside the mobile. So likewise, whatever silica gel will be there, that silica gel will have the ability to absorb the moisture particle. So whenever outside air will pass over this silica gel, whenever outside air will pass over this silica gel, so that silica gel will absorb the moisture particle. Here, silica gel will absorb the moisture particle available or present inside the outside air. So whenever that silica gel will absorb the moisture particle, whenever that silica gel will absorb the moisture particle, here paper liquid is getting converted into paper water is getting converted into liquid water. And while conversion of phase change from vapor to liquid, whatever amount of heat is released, that amount of heat released while conversion of vapor water into liquid water, that amount of heat will be utilized to heat the outside air. And because of the same, here, because of absorption of moisture particle, by that silica gel, here dehumidification process will occur. And here, while conversion of water vapor, while absorption of moisture particle, here water vapor is getting converted into liquid water. So while conversion of water vapor into liquid water, here whatever amount of heat or heat of condensation will be released, that heat of condensation will be utilized to heat the outside air. Because of the same, here temperature of the air, dry bulb temperature of the air will goes on increasing, and moisture content of the air will goes on decreasing. So that process will be called as a heating and dehumidification process, or it is also called as a chemical dehumidification. Why this process is called as a chemical dehumidification? Because this entire process we are occurring by using the chemicals that is called as a moisture absorbent chemical, that is nothing but the silica gel. Okay, so here this process is mainly used in case of industrial air conditioning, and this can also be used for some of the comfort air conditioning installation. So here we require the low relative humidity or low dew point temperature in the room. So to occur this process, what we are going to do? So this process is called as a chemical dehumidification process. Why? Because in this process, air is passed over the chemicals. Which are having the affinity for moistures. So whenever that air will come in contact with these chemicals, so moistures from that air will get condensed. And due to this condensation, specific humidity decreases. As moistures are getting condensed, that's why specific humidity will goes on decreasing. While during condensation, heat of condensation will supply the sensible heat to the remaining air, and because of the same, there will be the heating of the remaining air. So that process will be called as the heating and dehumidification process. This process will be called as a heating and dehumidification process, and this process will be exactly opposite. As that of cooling and humidification process or evaporative cooling process. So here this process will also occur. At a constant enthalpy. Or at a constant wet bulb temperature. So here, if I'm going to consider this as my initial point, which is having the dry bulb temperature as a TD1 and specific humidity as a small w1. So whenever I'm going to supply this air, over the chemicals or over the silica gel, so that chemical will absorb the moisture content, and because of absorption of moisture content, here specific humidity will go on decreasing. And here, because of condensation of that moisture particle, here whatever heat of condensation will be released, that heat of condensation will be utilized for heating the air. That means here both the process, dehumidification as well as heating process will occur. That's why this entire process 1 to 2 will be called as a heating and dehumidification process. Entire process 1 to 2 will be called as the heating and dehumidification process. Are you getting? So here, during this process, the effect of this heating and dehumidification process on the various parameter will be likewise. During this process, drivable temperature, this is the inlet point, this is the outlet point. So during this process, drivable temperature will goes on increasing. Here, whatever specific humidity is there, specific humidity will goes on decreasing, because this is the specific humidity corresponding to point number 1, specific humidity corresponding to point number 2. Then dew point temperature of the air will remain same. Dew point temperature of the air will remain same. Wet bulb temperature. So this is the wet bulb temperature corresponding to point number 1, and this is the wet bulb temperature corresponding to point number 2. Here wet bulb temperature, sorry, dew point temperature will goes on decreasing, because this is the dew point temperature corresponding to point number 1. This is the dew point temperature corresponding to point number 2. Wet bulb temperature will remain same, because here point number 1 and point number 2 will have the same value of wet bulb temperature. At the same time, same value of enthalpy. Enthalpy as well as wet bulb temperature will remain same. Specific volume. Specific volume. So here corresponding to point number 1, this will be the specific volume line. Corresponding to point number 2, specific volume line will be likewise. And here specific volume will goes on increasing. And what about relative humidity? Here relative humidity corresponding to point number 1 will be this line. Relative humidity corresponding to point number 2 will be this line. So here relative humidity will goes on decreasing. So this is the effect of heating and dehumidification process on the various thermodynamic properties of the moisture, or on the various thermodynamic parameters of the moisture, heating and dehumidification. Are you getting? So here we have completed all the theoretical part related to chapter number 4. Now by solving 1 or 2 problem, here our chapter number 4 will get completed. So here in this chapter number 4, we have seen first type of problem. So in the first type of problem, we have solved the problems by using psychrometric relations and by using the steam table. So in the latter part, that means in the second part, we have to solve the problems by using the psychrometric chart only. So as I have already told you that this chapter number 4 is consisting of 2 types of problem. First type of problem is by using the psychrometric relations. So we have seen the near about 5 to 6 psychrometric relations. By using those psychrometric relations and by using the steam table, we have solved the problem. Now second half is consisting of the problems by using the psychrometric chart. Now here, to solve the problems by using the psychrometric chart, we require some of the formulas. So the formulas which we require to solve the problems on psychrometric chart, out of that first formula is related to bypass factor of heating or cooling coil. Bypass factor of heating or cooling coil. So already we have seen the formula for bypass factor of heating coil, formula for bypass factor of cooling coil. After that, efficiency of heating coil and efficiency of cooling coil. So in general, bypass factor of heating or cooling coil is given by equation difference of temperature or drivable temperature difference between coil and outlet. So we have to take that difference as a positive difference, coil and outlet temperature difference and coil and inlet temperature difference. So bypass factor is the ratio of difference between coil and outlet temperature divided by difference between coil and inlet temperature. Then second formula is related to the sensible heat factor. So sensible heat factor, it is the ratio of sensible heat divided by total heat. Total heat is nothing but sensible heat plus latent heat. So sensible heat factor, that is also called as a sensible heat ratio. Sensible heat factor, also called as a sensible heat ratio, it is given by equation sensible heat divided by total heat, whereas total heat is nothing but sensible heat plus latent heat. Okay. Then in this problem based on psychrometric chart, they will ask us to find out the capacity of heating or cooling coil. Okay. they will ask us to find out the capacity of heating or cooling coil, or in another word, amount of heat supplied or amount of heat released, amount of heat supplied by heating coil or amount of heat absorbed by the cooling coil, they will also ask you. So capacity of heating or cooling coil will be calculated by using the formula mass of air into enthalpy difference, mass of air into enthalpy difference. So here capacity of heating coil or capacity of cooling coil, or in another word, amount of heat supplied by the heating coil or amount of heat absorbed by the cooling coil, is equal to same formula, mass of air into enthalpy difference. Then one more formula related to the humidifier or dehumidifier. So that is nothing but capacity of humidifier or capacity of dehumidifier. Capacity of humidifier or capacity of dehumidifier. It is also called as the amount of water vapor supplied. Humidifier जर असेल तर आपण काय करतो, water vapor supply करतो, and dehumidifier जर असेल तर amount of water vapor remove करतो. So capacity of humidifier is also called as the amount of water vapor supply, or capacity of dehumidifier is also called as the amount of water vapor removed, is equal to mass of air into specific humidity difference. आता ह्या ठिकाणी एन्थाल्पी डिफरन्स आणि स्पेसिफिक ह्युमिडिटी डिफरन्स जो आहे, तो एन्थाल्पी डिफरन्स आणि स्पेसिफिक ह्युमिडिटी डिफरन्स नेहमी आपल्याला कसा घ्यायचा, पॉझिटिव्ह घ्यायचा. दॅट मीन्स हियर if our process is likewise, outline of psychrometric chart, suppose this is outline of psychrometric chart, and suppose I am having the point number 1 here. Suppose I am having point number 1 somewhere here. Which is having the dry bulb temperature as a TD1 and specific humidity as a small w1. And by doing some process, because of some processing on that outside here, suppose I am getting my point number 2 here. Suppose I am getting my point number 2 here. So this process will be called as a heating and humidification process, because here if you observe during this process or to occur this process, here sensible heating is also required and humidification is also required. So this is heating and humidification process. That means here to occur this process, we have to use the heating coil as well as we have to use the humidifier. We have to use the heating coil as well as we have to use the humidifier. So here what I will get here corresponding to this point number 1, I will get here as a specific humidity. Specific humidity corresponding to point number 1. And this is the specific humidity corresponding to point number 2. Specific humidity corresponding to point number 2. Here this is the dry bulb temperature corresponding to point number 2. This is the dry bulb temperature corresponding to point number 1. And here enthalpy, if I want to check the enthalpy, so here I will get the enthalpy corresponding to point number 1. This is the enthalpy corresponding to point number 1, and this will be the enthalpy corresponding to point number 2. This will be the enthalpy corresponding to point number 2. Now here, if I want to calculate the capacity of heating coil, because we are knowing that this process is a heating and humidification, that means to occur this process, we have to use the heating coil as well as humidifier. We have to use the heating coil as well as humidifier. So here, if I want to calculate the capacity of heating coil, or capacity of heating coil is nothing but amount of heat supplied. Capacity of heating coil means काय म्हणतो आपण त्याला, that is nothing but the amount of heat supplied. Then I'm going to use the equation as a mass of air into enthalpy difference. Mass of air into enthalpy difference. आता enthalpy difference कोणता घ्यायचा, स्टार्ट पॉइंट कोणता आहे माझा, हा पॉइंट नंबर 1 जो आहे तो स्टार्ट पॉइंट आहे, आणि एंड पॉइंट कोणता आहे, हा पॉइंट नंबर 2 जो आहे तो माझा एंड पॉइंट आहे. सो हियर capacity of heating coil or amount of heat supplied is given by equation mass of air into enthalpy difference, that is equal to mass of air into enthalpy difference. Enthalpy difference कोणता घ्यायचा, पॉझिटिव्ह enthalpy difference घ्यायचा. आता पॉझिटिव्ह म्हणजे पॉइंट 2 ची enthalpy जी आहे ती H2 आहे, आणि पॉइंट 1 ची enthalpy जी आहे ती H1 आहे, आणि व्हॅल्यू ऑफ enthalpy टुवर्ड्स द डायरेक्शन काय होत असते, इन्क्रीज होत असते. दॅट मीन्स हियर Positive enthalpy difference means I have to take the value of H2 minus H1. I have to take the value of H2 minus H1. Are you getting? So by using this formula, I will get the capacity of heating coil. By using this formula, I will get the capacity of heating coil. And here, if I want to calculate the capacity of humidifier means amount of heat supplied. Sorry, not heat, amount of water vapor supplied. That is called as a capacity of humidifier. So that will be given by equation mass of air into specific humidity difference. So mass of air into specific humidity difference. Specific humidity difference म्हणजे कोणता घ्यायचा मला? Specific humidity corresponding to point number 1 is small w1. Specific humidity corresponding to point number 2 is small w2. So specific humidity difference means I have to take the small w2 minus small w1. So this also I have to consider as a positive specific humidity difference. So by using this formulas, I will get the value of capacity of heating coil, value of capacity of humidifier. Are you getting? Now here, as new term is coming, that is nothing but mass of air. So how to calculate the mass of air? How to calculate the mass of air? So to calculate the mass of air, I have to use the formula as a volume of entering air. Volume of entering air divided by specific volume of entering air. So this formula is also very much important. So mass of entering air, MA, is equal to volume of entering air divided by specific volume of entering air. So out of that, volume of entering air will be supplied in the problem. आताची जी प्रोसेस ड्रॉ केली होती आपण. So as we have drawn process 1 to 2 likewise. This was my point number 1. This was my point number 2, and 1 to 2 process was likewise. Okay. 1 to 2 process was likewise. So here for this process, if I want to calculate the mass of entering air, then mass of entering air will be calculated by using the volume of entering air divided by specific volume of entering air. Out of that, value of volume of entering air, will be provided in the problem, and value of specific volume of entering air, will be calculated by using the specific volume line. So here corresponding to point number 1, म्हणजे entering air चा specific volume मला चेक करायचं, not the exit air. मला पॉइंट नंबर 1 एंट्रिंग एअर जे आहे त्या एंट्रिंग एअरचा स्पेसिफिक व्हॉल्यूमची व्हॅल्यू फाइंड आउट करायची. त्या ठिकाणी स्पेसिफिक व्हॉल्यूम लाईन असतात सायक्रोमेट्रिक चार्ट वरती. सो बाय युजिंग दॅट स्पेसिफिक व्हॉल्यूम लाईन, I will calculate the value of specific volume of entering air, and by dividing that specific volume of entering air by specific volume of entering air, I will get the mass of entering air. Are you getting? So these are the various formulas which we require while solving the problem. So you can note down these formulas in your notebook, because we have to solve the problem based on psychrometric chart. So I will give 3 to 4 minute time. So in that 3 to 4 minute time, you have to note down these formulas, because by using these formulas only, we have to solve the problem. Okay. Sorry. Okay, now you can note down. I will give 2 to 3 minutes up to 11:45. I will give the time. After that, we are going to solve the first problem. Note down this all the formulas in your notebook, so that based on these formulas, we will solve the problem. Once you have completed, let me know so that we'll proceed further. Okay, have completed? Yes or no? Have you completed? Write in the chat box. Okay. So now we'll solve one problem by using the psychrometric chart. So problem based on psychrometric chart. So this is the problem statement. The atmospheric air at 30 degrees centigrade dry bulb temperature and 75% relative humidity enters in a cooling coil at the rate of 200 meter cube per minute. Now here, if you see, the atmospheric air at 30 degrees centigrade dry bulb temperature and 75% relative humidity enters in a cooling coil. So we have used the cooling coil, and here they have mentioned the volume flow rate 200 meter cube per minute. The coil dew point temperature is 14 degrees centigrade and bypass factor of coil is 0.1. So we have to determine the various parameter. To understand this, we'll consider we are having one air handling unit. Suppose this has the air handling unit or insulated chamber. So in that air handling unit or insulated chamber, we are going to do the processing inside on the outside air. So suppose this has the outside air. So always remember, outside air will be represented by point number 1. This will be represented by point number 1. So atmospheric air is having 30 degrees centigrade dry bulb temperature, 75% relative humidity. So what is outside air? Whatever dry bulb temperature is there. So that dry bulb temperature is TD1 is equal to 30 degrees centigrade. 30 degrees centigrade. And relative humidity 75%. That means phi 1. Relative humidity corresponding to point number 1. That is equal to 75%. 75%. Okay. 75%. Now, this air will be passed over the cooling coil. This air will be passed over the cooling coil at the rate of 200 meter cube per minute. That means here we are having one cooling coil. Suppose this is my cooling coil. This is nothing but cooling coil. And here volume flow rate of the air. Volume flow rate of the air is 200 meter cube per minute. So here volume of the air which is supplied is nothing but 200 meter cube per minute. म्हणजे एका मिनिटाला 200 मीटर क्यूब एवढी एअर आपण सप्लाय करतो. 200 मीटर क्यूब पर मिनिट. Now the coil dew point temperature is 14 degrees centigrade. Coil dew point temperature means here, whatever this coil is there, the surface temperature of this coil, that is called as the coil dew point temperature. That is also called as the apparatus dew point temperature. If this temperature is less than the dew point temperature of entering air. So coil dew point temperature means they have mentioned the coil condition line. Coil the temperature किती 14 degree centigrade. So 14 degree centigrade is the temperature of the coil, and bypass factor of the coil is equal to 0.1. Bypass factor of the coil is equal to 0.1. And here is surface temperature, that is also called as the coil dew point temperature. So this is the surface temperature of coil. This is the surface temperature of coil, 14 degrees centigrade. Now what we have to find out? Determine temperature of air leaving the coil. म्हणजे ह्या coil वरून पास झालेल्या airचं temperature we have to find out. That means here, if I am going to consider point number 2 as the is nothing but the air which is coming out of that coil. So here I have to find out temperature of air leaving the coil. Temperature, फक्त temperature वर यूज केला तर कोणतं temperature find out करायचं असतं आपल्याला? Dry bulb temperature find out करायचं असतं. So here I have to find out the value of TD2. Then what I have to find out? Second thing, I have to find out the capacity of cooling coil. So whatever this cooling coil I have used, so for that cooling coil I have to find out the capacity of that cooling coil. Capacity कशी find out करत असतो आपण? Capacity of cooling coil कशी find out करत असतो? Is equal to mass of air into enthalpy difference. आता enthalpy difference कोणता घ्यायचा आहे? कॉइलच्या इनलेट एअर आणि कॉइलचे आउटलेट एअर या दोन्हीच्या मधला जो एन्थाल्पी डिफरन्स आहे तो मला घ्यायचा आहे. त्यावरून मला काय फाइंड आउट करायचं आहे? कॅपॅसिटी ऑफ कूलिंग कॉइल. सो दॅट कॅपॅसिटी ऑफ कूलिंग कॉइल विल बी फाइंड आउट, आय हॅव टू फाइंड आउट इन टर्म्स ऑफ TR and in terms of kilowatt. Then amount of water vapor removed per minute. Here if you use the read this statement, amount of water vapor removed per minute. Now here you will say that, sir, we are not using the dehumidifier. Then how we are removing the water vapor? So here whatever cooling coil we are using, same cooling coil is used as the dehumidifier. So for that dehumidifier I have to find out the amount of water vapor removed. And last one, I have to find out the sensible heat factor of the process. Sensible heat factor of the process, or SHR also. Sensible heat factor of the process, or SHR also. So how to solve this problem? How to solve this problem? So to solve this problem, on the first of all we should have the psychrometric chart. To solve this problem, first of all we should have the psychrometric chart. So suppose this is my psychrometric chart. This is my psychrometric chart. So on that psychrometric chart, first of all I will represent the point number 1. What is that point number 1 indicating? Point number 1 is indicating 30 degrees centigrade dry bulb temperature and 75% relative humidity. 30 degrees centigrade dry bulb temperature and 75% relative humidity. आता ह्या ठिकाणी जर बघितलं चार्ट वरती 30 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड ची लाईन कोणती? ही जी लाईन आहे ती आहे 30 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड ड्राय बल्ब टेम्परेचर ची लाईन, बरोबर आहे? सॉरी, स्ट्रेट लाईन काढायची. आणि 75% रिलेटिव्ह ह्युमिडिटी ही जी आहे ती 70% रिलेटिव्ह ह्युमिडिटी ची लाईन आहे, आणि ही जी आहे ती 80% रिलेटिव्ह ह्युमिडिटी ची लाईन आहे. तर अंदाजाने आपल्याला काय करायचं आहे? 75% रिलेटिव्ह ह्युमिडिटी लाईन म्हणजे माझा हा पॉइंट नंबर 1 येईल. समजतंय? पॉइंट नंबर कोणता येईल? 1. हा पॉइंट नंबर 1 काय इंडिकेट करतोय? Now this point is indicating 30 degree centigrade dry bulb temperature. This point number 1 is indicating 30 degree centigrade dry bulb temperature and 75% relative humidity. Likewise, I have to represent the point number 1. After that, after representing the point number 1, हा point number 1 तर represent केला, म्हणजे ह्या ठिकाणी कुठे तर आला माझा point number 1, याची 30 degree centigrade dry bulb temperature होता आणि 75% relative humidity होती. This is my point number 1. Now here to calculate the point number 2, to find out the point number 2, what they have mentioned, they have given the bypass factor of the cooling coil, as well as they have mentioned the surface temperature of the cooling coil. Now here they have mentioned the surface temperature of the cooling coil, and that is equal to 14 degree centigrade. That is equal to 14 degree centigrade. आता 14 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेडची लाईन ह्या ठिकाणी कुठेतरी असेल, बरोबर. 14 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेडची लाईन ह्या ठिकाणी कुठेतरी असेल, आणि ती 14 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेडची लाईन अशी असेल. सॉरी, so this will be my 14 degree centigrade line. So now where should I locate the point, or where should I locate the coil condition line? Where should I locate the coil condition line? So to locate the coil condition line, what I have to do, I have to check what is the dew point temperature of entering air. I have to check what is the dew point temperature of the entering air, and if the dew point temperature of entering air is having the higher value as compared to coil temperature line, then this coil surface temperature will be called as the apparatus dew point temperature. It will be called as the apparatus dew point temperature. That apparatus dew point temperature will be always represented on the saturated curve. So here, if I will check the corresponding to point number 1, if I will check the dew point temperature, so dew point temperature value corresponding to point number 1 is nothing but 25 degrees centigrade. Corresponding to point number 1, dew point temperature value is nothing but 25 degrees centigrade. So as 25 is greater than 14, that means whatever 14 degrees centigrade surface temperature they have mentioned, the coilचं surface temperature जे आहे ते काय होणार आहे ह्या ठिकाणी, that is nothing but apparatus dew point temperature होणार आहे. आणि apparatus dew point temperature नेहमी कुठे रिप्रेझेंट करत असतो आपण, सॅच्युरेटेड कर्व वरती रिप्रेझेंट करत असतो. So this will be, if I am considering point number 3 as a coil condition, so here I can consider the point number 3 having 14 degree centigrade. या ठिकाणी 15 आहे म्हणजे ही लाईन जी आहे ती 14 डिग्री, आणि ही 14 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेडची लाईन ऑन द सॅच्युरेटेड कर्व, म्हणजे हा माझा काय झाला, कॉइल कंडिशन झाली, म्हणजे कॉइलची पोझिशन. सो दिस इज माय point number 3. This will be my point number 3. Now I have to locate, or I have to connect the point number 1 and point number 3. I have to connect the point number 1 and point number 3 by straight line. By straight line. Now I have to represent the point number 2. So to represent the point number 2, what they have mentioned? They have mentioned the bypass factor of coil. They have mentioned the bypass factor of the coil, and as they have mentioned the bypass factor of the coil, as they have mentioned the bypass factor of the coil, so after connecting this line 1 to 2, after connecting this line 1 to 3, sorry, as they have mentioned the bypass factor, so my point number 2 will be on the same line. My point number 2 will be on the same line. So I will assume my point number 2 is here. This is my point number 2, and now I will use the bypass factor formula. So bypass factor is equal to difference between coil and outlet. आता coilचा पॉइंट आहे 3 नंबर आणि आउटलेटचा पॉइंट आहे 2 नंबर. So TD2 minus TD3 will be there. Bypass factor is equal to TD2 minus TD3 divided by coil and inlet. Divided by coil and inlet. आता coilचा आहे पॉइंट नंबर 3 आणि इनलेटचा आहे पॉइंट नंबर 1. कोणतं टेम्परेचर जास्त आहे? 1 चं टेम्परेचर जास्त आहे. That's why TD1 minus TD3. TD1 minus TD3 हा फॉर्म्युला. So here, as I am knowing the value of bypass factor, what is the value of bypass factor? 0.1. TD2 ची व्हॅल्यू माहित आहे का मला? नाही. I have assumed that point number 2 is here. I am knowing the value of TD3. TD3 ची व्हॅल्यू किती आहे? 14 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. TD3 value is 14 degree centigrade. TD1, I am knowing the value of TD1. What is the value of TD1? 30 degree centigrade. Again, I am knowing the value of TD3. So by using this formula, I will get the value of TD2. By using this formula, I will get the value of TD2. समजा TD2 ची व्हॅल्यू सपोज आली 20 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. TD2 ची व्हॅल्यू आली 20 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. तर मी परत काय करणार आहे, त्या ठिकाणी 20 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड कुठे आहे बघणार आहे आणि 20 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड पासून लाईन ड्रॉ करणार आहे आणि ती कुठं इंटरसेक्ट होते तो माझा परमनंट पॉईंट नंबर 2 असणार आहे. सो दिस विल बी माय पॉईंट नंबर 2. अगोदर TD2 ची व्हॅल्यू कॅल्क्युलेट करा. सुरुवातीला अज्युम करा पॉईंट नंबर 2 इन बिटवीन 1 आणि 3 आहे. त्यावरून TD2 ची व्हॅल्यू कॅल्क्युलेट करा. TD2 ची व्हॅल्यू कॅल्क्युलेट केल्यानंतर by using the psychrometric chart you have to locate the point number 2. So here value of TD2 is nothing but temperature of air leaving the cooling coil. So you will get the answer of first question, temperature of air leaving the cooling coil. Okay, now as the time is 12 o'clock, so we have to end our lecture here. So whatever remaining 3 points will be there, we'll cover these remaining 3 points in the next lecture, because it is not possible to cover remaining 3 points within 5 minutes. At least 10 minutes are required for so we'll end our lecture here. I will take the attendance, and after taking the attendance you can exit the lecture. Wait for 1 minute. Today's date is 27 December. So after completion of this problems, I will take one more problem, and after that our chapter number 4 will get completed. Okay. Roll number 1 to 4 absent, 1, 2, 3, 4 absent, 5 present, 6 present, 7 absent, 8 present, 9, 10, 11, 12 absent, 13 present, 14 absent, 15 present, 16 present, 17 absent, 18 present, 19 present, 20, 21, 22, 23 absent, 24 present, 25, 26 absent, 27 present, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33 absent, 34 present, 35 present, 36, 37 absent, 38 present, 39, 40 absent, 41 absent, 42 present, 43 present, 44 present, 45 present, 46, 47 present, 48, 49 absent, 50 present, 51 present, 52, 53, 54 absent, 55 present, then 56 absent, 57 present, 58 present, 59 absent, 60 present, 61 present, 62 present, 63, 64, 65, 66 absent, 67 present, 68 present, 69 present, 70 absent, 71 absent, 72 present, and 73 absent, 74 absent, 75 absent, 76 Raj. Okay, 76 present.
Present, sir.
Okay. So I have taken the attendance. So thank you for attending the lecture. We'll end our lecture here.